welcome back, everyone. Major updates on Twitter. Elon Musk, after taking it over, has found some really interesting things about what was happening behind the scenes. Now, he has now posted some screenshots of chat messages showing that Twitter may have lied to the court, or at least the Twitter executives. And folks, the implications of this are pretty massive. This means all those golden parachutes those executives are trying to sail away in, those things are about to go up in flames. Elon Musk, by showing this, can demonstrate that the former Twitter board, all the people he fired, very likely lied to him and very likely did so knowingly. The implications of this are going to be massive. It's going to mean that basically that Elon Musk wipes his hands clean from any potential lawsuits from the former leadership of the company. And there's some more stuff as well when it comes to what he's finding on censorship. Some interesting things. Those fired masses, the 75% of Twitter employees he wanted to get rid of, it's going to look bad on them. Let's put it that way. And also, he may, interestingly, probably get a lot of his money back from the deal, which is going to be a whole nother picture. At the same time, another interesting thing taking place, BlackRock Investment, the ESG investment firm, environmental social governance, the one pouring money into China, taking government pension dollars and putting them into Chinese Communist Party stocks. Well, folks, BlackRock is losing bigly. They are just toppling right now. And part of this has to do with really large-scale backlash against the whole agenda that they're pushing, the ESG agenda. And this has some pretty big implications as well, not just in terms of BlackRock, but in terms of the trajectory for social, say socially conscious, whatever you want to call it, globalist investment. And this means that essentially a lot of people are pushing back against this type of investment and the agenda that it represents. I'll be talking about this today. That said, folks, thank you all for being here. A lot to talk about. Let's start off with Elon Musk, what's happening at Twitter. First, though, those of you on YouTube, Rumble, we will jump over exclusively to Epic TV after about 25 minutes or so. So if you haven't joined us there yet, please do. Again, it's the uncensored platform run by Epic Times, and my show is there. I do an hour-and-a-half program. Come join us. All right, that said, let's start with Elon Musk. This is Musk's tweet that he made on Twitter. And he says, Wachtell and Twitter board deliberately hid this evidence from the court. Stay tuned. More to come. And from the tweets, this is from Joel Roth, who allegedly actually provided these messages to Elon Musk. I'll get into him in a minute, but he said this. This is what the actual messages say. But also, LOL, which means laugh out loud, if Amir continues to BS me an escalation route, is Amir's OKRs are entirely based on fraudulent metrics, and he doesn't care and may actively be trying to hide the ball, literally doing what Elon is accusing us of doing. Now, what is he saying here? This tweet, or these direct messages, these were made right around the time when Elon Musk began questioning whether Twitter was running large amounts of bot accounts and whether Twitter was misleading its investors and its users in terms of how many real versus fake accounts are on the platform. And Musk was, of course, called out for that. The former CEO of Twitter, made a very long post talking about how they can't really tell, and they do all these complicated investigations and metrics, and he wrote this huge thread, and Elon Musk responded with like a poop emoji, just saying it's a bunch of, nonsense, essentially. And of course, Musk then looked to pull out from the Twitter deal unless Twitter could provide evidence that it was actually looking into how many bot accounts were on the platform. And keep in mind that's important because if Elon Musk was looking to purchase Twitter for the amount he did, he wanted to make sure he was purchasing a platform that actually had real people using it and not fake people using it that's used to bolster the numbers. Again, a move that would be considered, say, misleading to investors because investors would be misled as to the actual value of the company. And if Musk was trying to buy it at the set value based on fake numbers, well, that would probably be illegal, first of all, what Twitter was doing. And second of all, he should get a much lower deal. Now, let me go deeper into this, then I'll go over some of the kind of deeper implications of what this means. Let's talk about Joel Roth. So Joel Roth allegedly provided these messages to Elon Musk. Initially, people were saying, it's interesting because Elon Musk now owning Twitter, because of the way the terms of service agreements work on Twitter, he technically owns all the direct messages, meaning that journalists or experts or even politicians who are using that platform, Twitter, who are direct messaging to contacts, direct messaging to their friends or maybe cronies in other countries. He does probably some legitimate stuff, probably some illegitimate stuff. Because of the Twitter terms of services, all of that is technically the property of Elon Musk, including some of the messages allegedly that have been deleted, because the way that Twitter works is that even some deleted messages would still be on record, essentially, based on the information that we've been given previously. And that's a pretty big shot over the bow for anybody who was using Twitter and believed they were doing so with privacy and security, especially if they represented some kind of globalist agenda. Keep in mind, previously, there actually were some conservative users on Twitter who had their private conversations, leaked publicly. And it was, of course, suspected there were rogue Twitter employees who, based on their own political agendas, decided to read these people's direct messages and then leak their direct messages publicly. Well, the tables have turned. The tables have turned now, and rather than supporting this globalist agenda, it seems Elon Musk is a little more on the side of the conservatives, although I'd say he's probably more of a libertarian type. But yet he's not going to stand for this type of behavior, it seems, and he does seem to be interested in obtaining evidence specifically like this and then showing it publicly, and then maybe also following up with lawsuits. Before I go into this further, folks, let's talk about who this Joel Roth is. So according to Crunchbase, it says Joel Roth has 2 current jobs as Director, Trust and Safety at Twitter and Head of Site Integrity at Twitter. Additionally, Joel Roth has had 2 past jobs, including Senior Manager, Trust and Safety at Twitter. So this is the guy who basically heads the whole department when it comes to safety and, well, basically like censorship. Let's just be honest. This is like the director of like the censorship department, right? Trust and safety, your safety from hurtful news, right? But allegedly he willingly provided this to Musk. We don't have the full details yet, but that's the current narrative, is that he actually gave those messages to Musk. And on why this actually matters. Now, let me show you Fox Business talking about this a bit. It says, Elon Musk accuses Twitter board of deliberately hiding evidence from court. Stay tuned. And it says, Elon Musk accused Twitter's former board of directors and their lawyers of deliberately hiding evidence from court proceedings days after the entrepreneur's $44 billion deal was finalized. And deliberately, in this case, is what would make it criminal. Deliberately, rather than, we didn't know, the data, we weren't able to see the data. Deliberately means this is a criminal act, not just, gross oversight or something like that. And it says further, in proof of fraudulent metrics at Twitter may serve as a basis for arguments that Musk significantly overpaid in the $44 billion deal. Musk said earlier this month that he obviously paid more than the company was currently worth. And in July, Musk told Twitter that he planned to terminate the deal that he announced in April over speculations about the amount of spam accounts on the website, prompting Twitter to file a lawsuit, suggesting as well that Twitter's lawsuit was illegitimate and that the people filing those lawsuits did so knowing they were doing it on false premise, which could also be a pretty serious issue. After Twitter accused Musk, it says, of not following his obligations under the agreement, Musk filed a counter lawsuit, and the entrepreneur changed course by announcing that he would proceed with his original $54.20 per share offer to buy Twitter, buy the platform in October. And further in it says Roth's comments about the fraudulent metrics were made in a May 17th message, roughly the same time Musk accused Twitter of being suspicious about its reporting of spam bots. Meaning that the context of Twitter's lawsuit against Musk, the context of their public, very likely defamatory statements about Musk, all of that was done knowingly. All of that would have been done with them knowing the facts and knowing they were actually lying to Musk and knowing they were filing false claims through lawsuits against Musk and knowing as well that very likely they were criminally defaming or litigiously defaming Musk, meaning they can be sued. They can be sued left, right, and center. They can be sued for defamation. They can be sued for misleading investors. They can be sued very likely as well for filing a false lawsuit while knowing the actual true, information on this. Meaning all those little golden parachutes, they're trying to steer away to their golden towers. They're about to, again, just burst into flames, folks. It's going to be big. And it goes beyond this as well, too. And I'll explain the political implications and the way it ties into some of that in a bit. First, though, folks, we do have a sponsor today. Today's episode is brought to you by Secure. Over 155 million Americans are affected by data leaks in 2020. The average American had their personal data stolen about 4 times over the year. People get anxious because they can't protect their online data and activity. But now there's a new email and messenger app called Secure, that's Secur, that can give privacy and security for sending emails and messages. Secure's server and data center are hosted in Switzerland, which is important because Switzerland has some of the strictest data privacy laws in the world, but that also means it's not subject to the Intrusive Cloud Act because it doesn't go through companies like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. Secure does not ask for your phone number, mine your data, or upload your contacts. It functions by adding people you know, then adding their secure numbers. You can also send people an invite to chat with just about anybody. And folks, it's $5 for the messenger, $7 for the email, or $10 for the email and messenger package. You can visit secure.com today for a free 7-day trial, or use the promo code Joshua to get 25% off. And big thanks out to Secure for sponsoring today's episode. All right, folks, further in on this, Musk has also begun looking into Twitter's censorship codes. And keep in mind, the fake bot accounts and the fake users, that's one thing. That was not that. I mean, you could get them on a lot of stuff with that. Aside from the fact that they tried filing lawsuits against Musk for trying to pull out of the deal, for questioning it, aside from the fact they publicly denied it, aside from the fact they lied to Musk about this, they were lying to investors about this, it also means that anybody who was, for example, buying advertisement on the platform, because you as a business could pay money to have advertisements, would have been doing so without being told the real information and being knowingly misled by the people at the top about the actual reach of the advertisements, suggesting again this may have defrauded not just investors but even advertisers and users. And really, I mean, they could really be sued over this. They could face massive lawsuits over this, probably even exceeding the cost of the company that Musk paid for it. And Musk is very smart by doing this. Musk is wiping his hands clean of it. This is not going to go on his head. This is going to go on the heads of the folks that he just tossed out the door. He's really kind of wiping his hands of this, which is a very smart move to take right when he's taking control of the company. And he's not stopping there. He's also now looking at the censorship codes. At least that's what it appears he's doing. Breitbart had an interesting story on this. It said that Musk goes into Twitter. He has his own Tesla staff, because Tesla is his company. He has them start to review the code of Twitter. And then he locks the Twitter engineers out of the system so they can't actually access it. And this is what Breitbart says. It says, following his takeover of Twitter, Tesla CEO Elon Musk reportedly had Tesla engineers review Twitter's software code and prevented Twitter engineers from making further changes, meaning that they couldn't alter it. Now, what would be the implications of why you would want to do that, right? Why would you lock the engineers out and make it so they can't change it? Because he wants to see what was there. He doesn't care if they fix it, right? If they fix it, that's one thing. If they fix it, it means they cover up what had previously been done. He goes in there, he locks them out, and he has his own staff review it. And by doing so, he's seeing what the company currently does, as opposed to what they want, what they would like him to believe that it has always done. By doing this as well, he's wiping his hands clean of the previous actions of Twitter. And by doing so as well, he can actually expose a lot of the wrongdoing of Twitter, and he has legal interest in doing that, because that clears him of any previous lawsuits which Twitter is facing. This means that he will go in being like, hey, they didn't tell me this happened. They misled me on this as well. Those dirty, lying, executives trying to flee the tower like a bunch of rats. He can put the blame on them by doing this. And also note that they were lying to him, they were lying to investors, they were lying to advertisers, they were lying to users. Now it says, Bloomberg reported that on Thursday, Elon Musk arrived at Twitter offices to officially confirm his company takeover after the $44 billion purchase deal closed. As part of his takeover, Musk fired top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal. It was the Indian guy who came on, who tried telling Musk that they don't really know how many bot accounts there are. That was that guy. Also, the CFO, Ned Siegel, and Vijaya Gadde, head of legal policy, trust, and safety. The company's general counsel, Sean Edgett, was also let go, according to sources, and all were promptly escorted out of the company's offices in San Francisco. Musk also reportedly had Tesla engineers enter the offices to review Twitter's code and meet with product leaders at the company. Sources stated that the Tesla engineers were there to review the code and assess and explain to Musk the changes that they believe the company needs to make to be in line with his vision. Twitter engineers were reportedly promptly locked out from making changes to the platform's current code base, in an effort to ensure that nothing about the product changes before Musk's acquisition deal is fully confirmed. Again, suggesting that as he's in the process of fully confirming this deal, he wants to find out everything, and he has the ability to do so, and he wants to make sure they don't try to alter it in ways that will essentially, again, make it look like things that were not previously there were always there. Now, remember this. There's a couple key points within the wording of this. They're saying that one of the reasons Musk had his Tesla engineers go in there and review it was because he wanted to make sure that the company was in line with his vision. If he wanted to make sure the company was in line with his vision, why would he care whether or not Twitter engineers changed the code? If Twitter engineers changed the code to make the company more in line with his vision, wouldn't he technically want that, if that was in fact his goal? This suggests, of course, that his goal is something else. This suggests that his goal is to find out what was previously there, what was there and what they may want to hide from him, and also what they may have been lying to him about, if you ask me. Now it says, sources say Musk plans to assume the role of CEO at Twitter, but may eventually exit the role and appoint a new executive to the position. Sources also claim that Musk plans to remove Twitter's permanent blacklisting of users, as he does not believe in lifelong bans. And folks, who was it that got a lifelong ban? Wasn't there a guy in 2020 who got a lifelong ban in Twitter? Yeah, what was his name? It was Trump, Donald Trump, I think. If he doesn't believe in lifelong bans, it means Trump could probably get his account back. Musk was saying on Twitter that if he got $1 for every person who asked him whether he's going to restore Donald Trump on Twitter, he said that Twitter could start minting its own currency. He's gotten so many. Now, folks, another key thing on this is very likely also going to reveal whether Twitter was engaging in political censorship, and also whether Twitter was working with the government on censorship. And, well, they were There's new information coming out on this. Maybe I'll do another piece on this. Actually, The Intercept had a really, really good investigative piece detailing how the Department of Homeland Security actually had programs working with Facebook, working with Twitter, to direct them in ways to eliminate what they claim is misinformation. And misinformation, according to them, because you and I could look at what they call misinformation and know that, frankly, the narrative they're pushing is fake. The narrative they're pushing is misinformation, and the misinformation they're censoring is actually the real information. A lot of not all the time, but a lot of times. Now, also, Twitter was giving special access accounts to different government officials, which is another big story that came out a while back. Twitter was making it so that government officials in different parts of the U.S. had special access where they could report misinformation. And of course, if you selectively give out special access to government officials and give them the ability to censor things, they're not going to be censoring actual misinformation. They're going to be censoring things based on what New York Times told them or based on what the Washington Post told them. They're going to be censoring based on their political agendas. And evidence previously has suggested that that's exactly what they've been doing. They've been not removing real information. They're not been removing fake information. They've been removing real information. And also, you're going to deal as well with the issue of media organizations colluding with them, of foreign governments colluding with them. There was actually an analysis several years ago. I want to say it was like 2010 or 2011. I believe it was from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or it was one of those similar organizations. I covered tech at the time, so it's been a while. But back then, there was an analysis where a lot of tech companies wanted to be transparent, and they made it public, actually, that a lot of them had, in fact, been working with foreign law enforcement, including Chinese Communist Party police. And part of that as well was them working with them to essentially silence dissidents or provide information to the police that could lead to political persecution of people. Pretty serious stuff if Twitter was involved. I'm not accusing Twitter of that, but if they were involved with it. We do know that companies like Apple, companies like Yahoo, for example, have engaged in activities like that. We do know, based on previous reporting, that Twitter was in fact providing some user data to foreign authorities for things like this as well. But again, having this kind of review of Twitter is more important. It's not just political for Musk. This is what's important to note. For Musk, people might look at what he's doing in terms of looking at the bot accounts, looking at the censorship policies, looking at how he's been misled. Of course, on the surface, a lot of this is going to look political. It's going to look like Musk is doing this to say, haha, look, I told you Twitter was censoring people. Now I have this is why I want to remove censorship. Aha, look, they have fake accounts. On the surface, it's going to look political, mainly because Twitter was so deeply politicized. But for Musk, this is actually really important in terms of legal protection. Remember, Musk was looking to actually pull out from the deal after Twitter basically would not show him data, trying to prove that they didn't have huge numbers of fake users. And when they threatened to sue him, well, they did sue him. And when the federal government stepped in and threatened to investigate Musk over this, of course, he had to move forward with it. Now, think about Musk, right? This will likely help him deflect any kind of ongoing lawsuits against the platform. Like, for example, Donald Trump has a lawsuit against Twitter. One of Trump's lawsuits against Twitter is specifically around the idea that Twitter is politically censoring. And that if Twitter is working hand in glove with the U.S. government, then that constitutes government censorship, not private business censorship. The actions alone, as demonstrated in the recent Intercept article, the actions alone of the Department of Homeland Security, and there's a lot of other ones as well, engaging with Twitter and encouraging them to censor certain types of information would constitute, at least based on my interpretation, would constitute government censorship. Because if the government and government agencies have special access focused on a private business and using that private business and their relationship with them to make them censor content, is that then a private business censoring, or is that the government censoring? And remember as well, I mean, I never thought I'd see the day when after after Trump left office, and you had really just massive political censorship on Twitter. A lot of people on the left came out. People who were crying about the evil billionaires and millionaires started saying it's a private company and it's not censorship if a private company censors people. I mean, aren't they the ones typically who are against big businesses stripping away people's rights? There was a very interesting kind of pivot that showed that the narrative is not necessarily the real narrative. The narrative that the big evil corporations and so on, are the ones persecuting us, which was kind of the former leftist narrative, really wasn't what it meant. It was basically that they were not falling in line with government tyranny. And as soon as they did fall in line with government tyranny, they all started supporting it. Trump is suing them over that. And it's important that Elon Musk separates himself from that. That there's going to be two Twitters. There's going to be the before Musk and the after Musk. The BC and the AD of Twitter, essentially. Not like Christ, but like Musk, right? Before Musk and after Musk. In the days of Musk, it's going to be the new one. And by changing the practices of the company, he's going to separate himself from the litigation that would, again, be on the company. And that litigation is probably going to be focused more on former leadership based on the narrative that they misled Musk in the purchase of the company, that they were misleading him when he purchased the company. And that's very likely how the lawsuits are probably going to still hit Twitter, but he can deflect those through that legal method. Now, also, this is going to let him recover a lot of his money from the purchase. Musk is going to make out like a bandit on this, again, probably by suing the former leadership for defrauding him in the deal. And keep in mind, I mean, some of these lawsuits can be crazy. Some of these lawsuits are not like normal little lawsuits. Some of these lawsuits can go way beyond what he actually paid. He could probably sue them for more money than he paid to buy the company, because of damages and whatever else. Meaning he might get Twitter like almost for free when the smoke clears from this, although it'll probably take several years. Also, it'll probably help him deflect lawsuits from investors, because the investors are going to want to sue. And that's going to be important as well, because Musk is coming onto this company now, and he needs to of course he needs to increase the value of the company. If Musk is doing what he wants to do, which is change the financial model of Twitter. Right now, Twitter makes money on selling people's data. The interesting point with that is that Twitter is actually running into a lot of legal issues in Europe, because European law in a lot of places makes a lot of that data collection illegal. So Twitter's getting sued all the time in Europe, for example, for that. The problem with Twitter is that it's a free platform. It's a free product. And they make money by selling you. You are the product they're selling. They collect data on you, huge amounts of data, crazy amounts of data. And they sell that to investors. And also there's some evidence coming out that companies like this, at least, have been selling that information to governments. Now, Musk wants to change that financial model, for example, to have it so people can pay for the blue check marks, like $20 a month. It's probably not going to make as much money as selling people's personal information, as selling essentially user profiles that are used to create advertising profiles, meaning the company's profits are probably going to drop. When the company's profits drop, what's going to happen? Investors are going to be mad, and they're going to want to have the CEO replaced, meaning Musk will be kicked out. By doing this, by noting all the problems that existed, Musk can change the nature of the company and make those lawsuits not against him, but against the former leadership. It's incredibly clever what he's doing, if this is in fact what he's doing. And also, it can deflect him from lawsuits from former Twitter staff, the very demanding Twitter staff whose public letter I read to you in a recent episode. Because, again, he wants to fire like 75% of them. Maybe he'll fire even more of them. Maybe he'll just clean house and get rid of all of them at this rate, or most of them at this rate. if he sees that there were so many dishonest practices, so many misleading practices, and very likely illegal practices that have been taking place on that platform. It'll mean that basically he'll have a legal right and a legal duty in some ways, and a legal responsibility even to investors to fire them, and they won't be able to sue him for it. What he's doing is incredibly clever, actually. Again, if this is in fact what he's doing. We'll see what comes out from it. All right, folks, that said, let's jump over exclusive to Epic TV. I want to go a bit further into this because I want to talk about the golden parachutes and the deeper implications of that. I also want to go into kind of where things are heading with foreign censorship. Justin Trudeau and his new programs in Canada really to strip people of internet freedom. And you're seeing that happen in other countries right now a lot more strongly. First, though, folks, let me show you a quick trailer. Jan Jekielek at American Thought Leaders had a really interesting interview. It's Dr. Paul Marik on spike-related diseases, meaning spike proteins from COVID-19 and the vaccines, gaslighting of the vaccine injured, and the suppression of early treatment. Let me show you this, folks. Then we'll jump over to Epic TV.
You have the spike causing inflammation, the spike causing clotting, and you have the spike causing all of this autoimmune disease.
Today I sit down with Dr. Paul Marik, the most highly published critical care physician in the world who is still actively practicing, and co-founder of the FLCCC Alliance.
If we had adopted, as a number of countries have done, early, widespread, early treatment, we could have controlled and ended this pandemic in the middle of 2020.
We discussed Dr. Marik's views on the corruption of medicine, from the suppression of off-label drugs, to the manipulation of safety data, to the gaslighting of the vaccine injured.
I used to think that what you read in the medical journals was the truth. We know now that that's completely false.
This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Jan Jekielek.
Hey, folks, again, that's exclusively on Epic TV, so be sure to check it out. And that said, folks, let's jump over now to Epic TV. I'll see you there. And folks, thank you for being here. Yeah,